Welcome to Bible Prayers and Untold Stories, where every whisper verse is truth, and every story brings light to the soul. Let us journey through the sacred words and uncover the wisdom hidden in prayer. In the midst of a world full of noise and oblivion, there are small whispers echoing through the long centuries. They do not come with thunder, but like a gentle wind touching the awakened soul. Today, in the light of prayer and the darkness of trial, we open together a door that has been sealed for more than half a century. The door leads to a secret that the church herself was afraid to reveal. The third secret of Fatima. A secret not meant to sow terror, but to shake sleeping hearts. A call from the heart of the mother, gentle but burning, that the greatest battle is not outside, but within each of our souls. On today's journey, we will not only hear of glorious visions or warnings from on high. We will be immersed in a silent battle between light and darkness, between the oath of fidelity and invisible betrayal. And with every breath, every prayer, we will discover that Fatima is not just an event from the past, but a bell that is ringing urgently in the present world. A world trembling amid pandemics, divisions, and spiritual hunger. Prepare your hearts, for the whispers of Fatima have not yet died down, and you, who are listening, are invited to embark on the greatest journey of all, the conversion of the heart. There are secrets that do not belong to man. There are whispers reserved for chosen souls. And there are truths that can only be revealed when the darkness in the heart of humanity is too heavy to be hidden. In 1917, in a remote village called Fatima, amidst fields of grass and a sky heavy with clouds, three simple children, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, were tending their flock of sheep. No one in the village would have thought that these three little souls would become the messengers of a message that transcended time. On May 13th, under the blazing sun, a lady dressed in white, more radiant than the sun, appeared before them. It was not an illusion. It was not a dream. It was a revelation, a direct intervention from heaven. The lady called herself Mary, and she brought with her warnings that the world was not ready to receive. Through her many appearances, Our Lady gave the children three messages, the three secrets of Fatima. The first secret, a terrifying vision of hell, where the souls of sinners burn without end. The second secret, the prophecy of a war even greater than the First World War, if humanity does not repent. And finally, the third secret, a message that the Vatican kept hidden for more than half a century, because the truth contained within was so shocking. The secret does not speak of earthquakes. It does not speak of global disasters. It does not carry images of fires burning down cities, or seas swallowing continents. No, the secret points to something more terrible than all, the disappearance of faith. What is more terrible than war, than natural disasters? It is when men forget their God. It is when the soul becomes hardened, when indifference kills the inner light before the body dies. Fatima is not just an alarm bell. Fatima is a plea from the heart of the mother for her children who are drifting into darkness. And today, when darkness returns, we are invited to open our eyes, our ears, our hearts, to listen to her once more, not with fear, but with fidelity, not by doubt, but by awakening, because that secret is never old. It is taking shape right in every breath of today's world. From afar, terrifying screams resounded, as if from an invisible abyss. A small flame flickered and then flared up fiercely. When the Virgin Mary opened the door between heaven and earth, those three innocent children witnessed a truth that no mortal eyes had ever dared to see. A moment, just a moment, but their young souls were forever imprinted by horrifying images beyond imagination. The three children knelt down, their faces pale, trembling. Before their eyes, a fiery red abyss appeared. A vast sea of fire, human souls twisted, screaming in despair. Evil figures hovered like poisonous smoke. That was hell, a sea of unquenchable fire, where souls languished in pain, crying in despair that no one heard. Each fire burned not only the body, but also the memories, the hopes, and the rejected love. Francisco and Jacinta after that day, were no longer innocent children. They lived the rest of their days in constant prayer and silent sacrifice, hoping to save lost souls. Lucia, the only one who lived to adulthood, confessed that the screams she heard in that vision still haunted her, even in the late sleep of her life. But that was only the first part, a warning of what would happen if humanity refused to turn back to God. In the second part of the message, Our Lady predicted that if humanity did not repent, a war worse than the First World War would break out. And as she said, just over 2 decades later, in 1939, the whole world was engulfed in the blood and tears of World War II. But Mary was not speaking only of wars between nations. She warned of another fire, much more dangerous, an invisible fire, atheism. In particular, she singled out one land, Russia, a country that would become the source of an ideology that denied God, spreading darkness and fierce persecution throughout the world. Mary urgently asked, "Consecrate Russia to my immaculate heart, with prayer, with sacrifice, with faithful hearts. But if people turn away, if the call is ignored, then darkness will prevail, not only on the battlefield, but in the hearts of every person." This is not a threat. It is a warning, echoing from the heart of a mother who cannot stand by and watch her children plunge into the abyss. The church bells rang out long, mixed with the sigh of the wind. The scene faded to darkness, leaving only the flickering light of a single candle. There are battles without the sound of guns, that do not break out on the battlefield, that are not bloody outside. But those are the most dangerous battles, battles in the hearts of men. After the scenes of hell, after the prophecies of war and persecution, Our Lady of Fatima revealed a war that is even deeper, more persistent, the battle for the soul of mankind. There is no need for guns. There is no need for open violence. It is enough to sow indifference in the hearts of men, doubt, compromise with darkness, and little by little, faith, the light in the hearts of men, will fade. Today, we see that war manifest in every corner of the world, in churches that are empty of believers, in priests, lay people who bear the name of Christians, but whose hearts have long since cooled, in empty preaching, lacking the fire of the Spirit. Wars break out, pandemics rage. People are immersed in fear, doubt, and division. The whole world is like a sea of blind people, not knowing that they are gradually entering the abyss. Our Lady foresaw this scene. She wept for it. She begged us with all her heart. She did not call for revolutions. She did not demand great campaigns. She asked only one thing: to pray the rosary every day, to convert one's life, to live simply, humbly, and faithfully to one's vocation. For the new flood of our times is not water, it is not fire, it is the silent fading of the soul, an invisible flood, drowning humanity in indifference, coldness and indifference to God. And only the heart that knows how to pray, only the soul that knows how to repent and return, can build a new Noah's Ark, save oneself and those around from the sea of spiritual death that is rising day by day. The spiritual darkness is enveloping, but where there is a soul that prays, there a small flame burns, shining for all heaven to see. There is a dangerous misconception that still lurks in the hearts of many believers, that after Easter all is finished, that the spiritual battle is over. But the truth is, the battle has only just begun, because right after the great feast, when the light of Easter has just dawned, the darkness quietly rises, trying to steal away the graces that have just been given. Every day, thousands of sounds, millions of images assault our minds without stopping. The noise, silently but persistently, seeking into every corner of the soul, like acid rain corroding the spiritual enamel in the human heart. Even the moments that should belong to God, the quiet hours to listen to the gentle voice of the Spirit, we unwittingly give to the world. A new announcement, a breaking news, a never-ending conversation. And little by little, we lose the ability to listen. God does not shout in our ears. He whispers, as softly as the breath of the first breeze of the season. But the noise of the world, it roars, pushes, screams, drowns every spiritual whisper. when our minds are constantly filled with chaotic sounds. There is no room for the living word to speak. The inner space, which should be the temple of God, is transformed into a chaotic square, where no one can hear the call of the invisible one. We seek peace. We long to hear God's voice. But then, we let the outside world build walls of sound that separate us from Him. God waits patiently, in a very small corner of the soul, where silence can still live. Learn to be silent again. Let us clear our inner altars of the noise of the world, for only in deep silence can we hear God calling our name. Easter, the day when light conquers darkness, the day when life shatters the chains of death. It should be a moment of silence for the soul, for the heart to be immersed in the grace of restoration. But when the light has just dawned, so many souls rush after the false lights of the world. Lavish parties, endless shopping, empty carnal satisfactions, disguised by smiles and sweet glasses of wine. People forget that the risen one, the one they celebrate, suffered thirst on the cross. Not thirsty for water, but thirsty for love, thirsty for the soul. And in that spiritual thirst, He received only a drop of vinegar. Today, the risen one continues to thirst. He thirsts for a little fidelity. He thirsts for a little sacrifice. He thirsts for a heart that knows how to love and respond. But instead, we offer Him hasty glasses of wine, frivolous pastimes, luxurious plans for enjoyment, like drops of vinegar soaked into the open wound of the crucified one. Easter is not a season of celebration for flesh. Easter is a season of the resurrected soul. It is a call to return to a simple life, with a heart filled with gratitude and silent sacrifice. The light of the resurrection does not shine from magnificent festivals, but from silent souls, living the echo of the cross, and walking in the full joy of the true resurrection. There are prisons without walls, without guards, without bars, but they imprison the human soul more tightly and hopelessly than any dungeon on earth. It is the prison of unforgiveness. When we refuse to forgive, we do not only bind the one who has hurt us, we lock ourselves up in our own souls, imprisoning ourselves in bitterness, in unrelenting resentment, in invisible chains that tighten around the heart. Forgiveness is not a fleeting emotion. It is not something to wait until the wound is completely healed. It is not an instantaneous comfort. Forgiveness is a heroic act of love. Forgiveness is not a denial of pain. Forgiveness is placing that pain in God's hands. It is a decision not to let the hurt control us any longer. Forgiveness does not make justice disappear, but it opens a way for the soul, the way of freedom. Every time we forgive, a chain in the soul is broken. Every time we let go, a door to the dungeon is opened, and we enter into freedom. Not the freedom the world offers, but the freedom of those who love as He loved us on the cross. There is a danger that few see. A silent sickness creeps in even in the midst of large communities. Not open hostility to God, but spiritual laziness. The indifference of an unconverted heart. There are people who attend Mass every week, hold the rosary every day, recite the prayers fluently, but their hearts remain closed, remain like a closed door, not allowing the light of God to enter. Outwardly they are whole, but within their souls remain cold, not yet burning with the fire of living love. They live their religion as a ritual, as a social duty, but do not let themselves melt into the heart of God. They stand before the fountain of grace and remain dry. They touch the Lord's garment, but never let Him heal their hearts. Conversion is not just a change of outward behavior. Conversion is letting one's own heart be broken so that grace can penetrate its deepest cracks. It is to let God touch the pains we hide, the dark places we are afraid to face. God does not seek superficial actions. He seeks the heart. He waits for a small whisper. Lord, please come in. With just one word, the light will flood in, and from there, our lives will never be the same again. Not everything that glitters comes from light. Not every beautiful symbol brings true peace. There are things seemingly harmless, still quietly opening small cracks day and night, allowing darkness to creep into our homes. Dream catchers, dream rings praised for keeping sweet dreams, actually originate from ancient pagan beliefs, where people put their faith in unknown spirits instead of the Creator. Power stones, iridescent crystals, are promoted as the key to attracting love, fortune, health, but they push the human heart away from absolute faith in God. Astrology books, magic books, astrological maps, instead of directing our eyes to the sky, they invite us to seek our destiny in the silent stars, forgetting that God is the one who holds all destiny. Each of these objects is like a small door slightly ajar, inviting darkness to enter the family that we once consecrated to God. No need for violence, no need for public denials, just sharing our faith. Dividing the heart that should be devoted only to God is enough for darkness to find a place. When we believe in dream catchers instead of praying, when we wear power stones instead of wearing a cross, when we seek our destiny in astrology instead of seeking God's will through prayer, we are not only risking our souls, we are gradually replacing the living God with invisible entities that are not of the light. Light cannot coexist with darkness. Faith cannot be shared by two masters. Your home, the soul of your family, must be kept as a sacred temple where God alone dwells. Clear away these foreign objects. Let the light shine forth fully, and let your heart be free, unencumbered by subtle invisible chains. Physical space and spiritual space are closely linked. A clean home becomes a temple of grace, where God is pleased to dwell, where the winds of the night cannot penetrate. And then the light of Easter will not only burn on the great feast day, but will shine every day, in every corner of our lives. In the midst of the storm of the night, in the midst of the screams of a lost world, there are still small candles, steadfastly burning. Souls, without power, without glory, with only a steadfast faith, but enough to push back the darkness. The victory that God promises is not for mighty armies, not for those who occupy earthly thrones. That victory is reserved for small, faithful souls, for simple hearts that know how to love, know how to sacrifice. And on that narrow path, God has left us miraculous tools. Confession is not just a removal of sins. It is a cool stream, washing away the dust of the world from the soul, making us new every day. And the Eucharist is not just a symbol. It is the living body of the risen one, the lifeblood that flows through the veins of the soul, supporting us through the silent battles. Who would have thought that the small beads, the simple prayers, would have the power to move heaven? Each prayer of the rosary is a step closer to the heart of God. It is a thread that binds a lost soul back to the eternal light. Our Lady of Fatima does not call great men. She calls you with a humble heart, with simple faith, with a small lamp of faith. Receive that invitation. Let us journey through the darkness, not by our own strength, but by the faint but persistent light of hope. No matter how stormy the world may be, no matter how thick the darkness, remember that just one small candle is enough to tear the darkness apart. We are not alone. We are called to light up, to burn steadfastly in the midst of the storm, and together we await the victorious dawn of the Immaculate Heart. If today your heart feels a faint call, a gentle whisper in your soul, do not ignore it. It could be God's invitation, reminding you that you too are a small candle in the storm of this world. We invite you to continue this journey with us, a journey of faith, of light, of hope that never goes out. If today's story has touched you, please leave a comment, share a prayer, a thought, or just a little encouragement, because every word you say can also be a ray of light that strengthens someone in the darkness. Each small comment that appears on the screen is like a flickering lamp. I pray with you, may the light of God always guide the way. And if you wish to continue to accompany us, discover sacred stories, miraculous prayers, click subscribe and walk in the light every day. Because even in the darkest night, the light of praying souls will never be extinguished